gets a standing ovation last Monday at a conference when she defends the rule of law and defends judges and lawyers from being attacked by the Trump administration. How many times have we ever seen a sitting Supreme Court justice during the term? The term is not even over for the Supreme Court. She's still in session. Get a standing ovation for standing up to Donald Trump. We saw lawyers and judges and law students and clerks and people that believe in the rule of law that aren't even in the legal profession all hit the streets on May 1st for Law Day. Most people didn't even know what Law Day was. I've been practicing law for 35 years. I never celebrated Law Day like that. But when you have a lawless Trump administration run by a felon who believes that he's got complete immunity and can be rogue and unconstitutional, then you've got to use the law day as a day of action to support the rule of law in our society. And tens of thousands of people hit the street and protest. Now we've got judges. What judges have been doing behind the scenes, although we've been reporting it on the Midas Touch Network, is they've been preparing briefs and sending those legal briefs into courts. They're known as amicus briefs, friends of the court briefs, to support, for instance, the 4 or 5 law firms that have been attacked by Donald Trump but are fighting back in the federal courts and are winning, who were put on blacklists and had their livelihood threatened and had their First Amendment rights to represent clients threatened and breached the contract, the sacrosanct ethics contract between a lawyer and a client by trying to destroy these law firms so that people can't have the lawyers of their choice. These same judges and many more filed briefs that have been cited by other federal judges to support the rule of law and these law firms. And now we've got this new letter, which I'm going to read to you now, that just got reported now. One of the signatories to that letter, Judge Barbara Jaffe of the New York Supreme Court, I did an interview with her over on Legal AF that's going up later, and you'll see that as well. And she talks about the reason that she got together and joined together with these other judges. But let me read to you from it. Judge Ludig, who I've interviewed several times in the Midas Touch Network, was one of the leaders here on this. No more conservative Federalist Society icon than Ludig. Here's what they wrote, Bondi. It's 2 pages. It's eloquent, powerful. Let's read it. We are former state and federal judges who joined together to condemn the Trump administration's attacks on the judiciary, including its recent arrest of Milwaukee County Circuit Court Judge Hannah Dugan in her courthouse. The latest action is yet another attempt to intimidate and threaten the judiciary after a series of rulings by judges appointed by presidents of both parties holding the Trump administration accountable for its countless violations of the Constitution and the laws of the United States. On April 25, you, Pam Bondi, called judges deranged and said that the administration is sending a very strong message that we will come after you and we will prosecute you, meaning judges. On April 28th, 3 days later, the White House press secretary, Carolyn Leavitt, went so far as to say that the Trump administration would not rule out arresting members of the United States Supreme Court. The intent to intimidate Judge Dugan and the judiciary is clear from the circumstances of Judge Dugan's arrest, which took place 7 days after the offense. There was no emergency. The administration could have easily issued a summons for Judge Dugan to appear before a court as would have been done in any other case. There is not 1 ounce of doubt that Judge Dugan would have appeared in court in response to a summons. Instead, the United States Department of Justice, at your direction, Pam Bondi, decided to create an embarrassing spectacle that included the FBI's arrest and handcuffing of Judge Dugan and the director of the FBI, Kash Patel, posting a photo of the perp walk on X. As you know well, the confidentiality and media context policy that appears on the Justice Department's website directs the DOJ personnel should not voluntarily disclose a photograph of a defendant unless it serves a law enforcement function or unless the photograph is already part of the public record. The circumstances of her arrest make it clear that it was nothing but an effort to threaten and intimidate the state and federal judiciaries into submitting to the administration instead of interpreting the Constitution and the laws of the United States. This cynical effort undermines the rule of law and destroys the trust the American people have in the nation's judges to administer justice in the courtroom and the halls of justice across the land. This is why American people trust judges as guardians of the Constitution and of the rule of law. They sign off this way. We unequivocally reject your and the Trump administration's assault on the judiciary, the rule of law, and those who administer it, including Judge Dugan. This does not make us deranged. It's what makes us Americans. Signed, and we'll scroll it here, almost 200 judges of all stripes, federal judges, state judges, conservative, right-wing, left-wing, moderate, liberal, and the like. What do they have in common? They have in common the defense of the rule of law. That's why Paul Clement, a right-wing federalist who I rarely agree with, stepped forward to defend Hannah Dugan as being a Solicitor General in a Republican administration, because he believes in the rule of law. And he's been stepping out and stepping opposed to the Trump administration in the last few weeks, which is, I think it's a sign that the dam is starting to break. We have Republican Trump-appointed judges opposing Donald Trump regularly now. We've got Solicitor Generals in prior administrations who are Republican doing the same thing. We got federal and state Republican judges opposing Donald Trump in his attack on the rule of law. Now is the time. Why do we do it? Some people might think, well, what's the value of it, Popak? Because now is the time to not be a silent majority. Now is the time to be a majority in action. Join together. We'll talk about the information here on Midas Touch and on Legal AF, but then you have to put it into action. Whether it's the 5501 rallies, the rallies about the rule of law, the rallies in the streets, midterm elections, voter drives related to the midterm elections. I mean, I've said it. Donald Trump, who just said on national television that he does not understand that as the commander-in-chief and upholding the oath to defend and preserve and protect the Constitution, that he doesn't believe in the due process. He doesn't believe that he has to give due process rights to people who are charged with crimes or issues in the United States of America. That's an impeachable offense right there. If the Democrats were in charge of the House and the Senate, he would already be impeached and removed. So I said, give me a fair election at midterms. Give me the House and the Senate back to the Democrats, and I'll give you an impeachment and a conviction of Donald Trump based on his efforts. These letters matter, these filings matter, these briefs matter, and your involvement matter. Here on the Midas Touch Network, take a moment, hit the free subscribe button, come on over to Legal AF. I got it. You can have it a number of ways. Legal AF, the YouTube channel, Legal AF MTN, where about a dozen contributors along with me bring you those hard-hitting analysis at the intersection of law and politics like no other. Legal AF MTN. We got a new Substack, Legal AF the Substack. Come over there. I just posted the letter, court filings throughout the day. I do a morning briefing called What Else? Morning AF, Legal AF Substack, and Legal AF the podcast. On the Midas Touch Network, Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We're number 13 in the world, all because of you. Although I'd like to get a little bit closer to the brothers who are number 1. So until my next report, I'm Michael Popak. Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.